Yes, yes, yes. So welcome back to the Football Terrace. Harry Maguire. We're here to talk about the most maligned man in world football at the moment, the most overanalyzed, the most criticized, and certainly the defender in the worst form in Premier League football right now. It's been an atrocious start to the Premier League season. He doesn't look mentally right. And I'm not calling it mental health. I'm just saying he doesn't look in the right frame of mind to be able to compete at the highest level of the game. It's as though his mind is elsewhere, and it very much could be with things that are going on, of course, with the court case pending in Greece for the alleged sort of criminality in the summer. And there's been so much said about him, so much written about him. I mean, the overanalyzing is just spiraling out of control. And now what we see is more and more Man United fans turning their back, more and more Man United fans not wanting him to remain at the football club, more and more Man United fans want him to be stripped of the captaincy, more and more Man United fans even getting triggered by certain pundits and certain media outlets defending Harry Maguire, denouncing it, saying that it shouldn't be done. And the 50 million price tag is of course going to carry him around for a long, long time. But Harry Maguire, I said it last week, and I'll say it again today, the sending off in the England game has just compounded things further. Every movement, every pass, every tackle is now going to be focused on with the most extremely fine tooth comb. Every nook, every cranny, magnifying glasses are out. Harry Maguire cannot put a foot wrong now without being absolutely ripped to shreds by the mainstream media. Forget rivals. Rivals are going to do it. Man United fans have lost faith in him. And I know that there'll be loads of people out there going, no, I'm a Man United fan. I haven't lost faith. But the masses have. The vast majority have lost faith in him. And that, for me, spells the end of him at Manchester United. And right now, I'm being serious. I don't even know if his career can survive the level of criticism that he is receiving. I don't remember seeing anything like this. Beckham went through crazy levels of about his football. We're talking football here. We have seen, the Paul Pogbas and the Raheem Sterlings get treated by absolute trash by the mainstream media. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. This is different in a footballing sense. I'm talking here. I saw a tweet earlier from a big footballing account, 297,000 followers they have. And it was talking about last night's tackle, saying, what the hell was he doing so far up the pitch? Centre-back should never be there. What a disgraceful player to be so far out of position. I mean, just ignoring the fact that at stages last night, the left-hand and the right-hand sided centre-backs, but being Maguire and Walker last night were both doing that. Clearly an instruction by the manager to go and do that. They're just ignoring it and saying it's the analysing is beyond, how do I say this? Is beyond ridiculous. And it isn't going to slow down. It is only going to increase because the media outlets and everybody else involved know that it's fashionable. Maguire is the fall guy. Maguire is the target. Maguire is the new scapegoat. And I don't think he can recover. I want your views and opinions on this, though. Is Harry Maguire mistreated? Is he being mishandled? Are Man United fans right for wanting the captaincy to be stripped? Him to be out of the starting lineup? And do you think it's wrong that not enough Manchester United fans are backing him? And I'm not saying defending his poor performances, because they have been awful. I think he needs to be dropped. And this is the irony. I'm 4 minutes and 10 seconds into this video, and I know all the dullards that won't watch the video will say, he's defending Maguire. I'm defending the human being. I'm defending the person. I'm defending the overanalyzing and the over-criticizing, and I'll tell you as to why. Because right now, Maguire is the target receiving this. It will move on to somebody else. It may next be a player that you love and respect. Remember, your morality and your integrity and attitude to life is the only thing that you have control over. If you're willing to yield upon that and bend upon it just to see somebody you dislike crash and burn and their career be ruined, that's completely and utterly up to you. You're allowed to have that. I just don't want to see you crying the next time this same methodology is used against somebody that you love, and respect. Skype lines are open. I want to take your calls. Can Maguire recover? How does he turn this round? I want your views. I want your opinions on this right about now. There's a comment here that says, why should a centre-half move up the pitch with the ball, yet attacking player has to drop back into defence? Can't get my head around it. Why should I don't get what you're saying there, though, Anthony. It's tactics. It's a tactic. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, phone the show. Come have your say. But before we do that, smash the like button for us. Really important to us that we get that done. It really, really is. We're going to get everyday same on the show in a moment. Super chat, first of all, though, here says, what would you do if you were Ollie? Would you bench him or play him? Personally, I would. For the next 2 games, I wouldn't even have Maguire on the bench. I would send him on a week's holiday, maybe a 2-week holiday, somewhere completely exclusive, completely private. I would tell Maguire to delete social media. I would tell him to keep himself away from absolutely everything that he can. I truly, truly would. Keep away from it. Don't go anywhere near social media. Get your head down, relax as best you can, and then bring him back in. That's what I would do. At least 2 weeks away from the limelight, because it's crazy. It's crazy. And he is now making mistakes because he's overstretching, he's overplaying, he's overtrying, and it's dangerous. Up on the show now, we have Everyday Same. What do you want to say, mate?
Okay, so this situation with Harry Maguire,
yep.
When it first happened, I was quite, I wouldn't say pleased, but I was like, let the fans give him grief, the rival fans give him grief, because I thought the whole adversity thing, in life, people kind of thrive on adversity, where you don't have to look in life. You can look just, not even in football, in our own team, like Rio Ferdinand after his drug ban. Ronaldo after he got Rooney sent off, you never played better. David Beckham went from being burnt in PSG to the best player in the world the next year. So I was kind of thinking it was going like that. And then when Harry's kind of not responded, at first I was like, oh, what's wrong? He's supposed to be captain, big tough centre back, grow a pair, suck it up. And that's my first. But what I've realised is there is a difference in his scenario to the Beckham and the Rooney and the Rio kind of thing. And the difference is he's been falsely accused of something. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you're accused of something and say you got into trouble with the law or anything like that, and you did it, then you'd be like, okay, fair enough, I did it, and you can deal with it. Yeah, if you're falsely accused of something, it's a totally, totally different ballgame. And straight off the bat with the whole incident in Greece, the way they kind of quickly tried to push it through and then kind of denied his defence time to, go through the trial so that they could question the witnesses or the references of the witnesses. It smelled fishy.
Yeah.
But the way he's crumbled under this pressure, I couldn't be more convinced of his innocence. Because, Terry, if you falsely accuse me of eating a Snickers out of the fridge, it would do my head in. Do you know what I mean? And I just think I've now kind of revised my view on Maguire. And yeah, what everyone's saying is true. His head's gone. He needs time. I mean, those challenges, that was just, his first touch and then the over challenge and the way his head dropped, So yeah, his head's gone, but I don't think it's because he's weak. I think it's because he's falsely accused. So I think once this matter's resolved, and I don't know what the timescale is, I think then we'll get our player back. But until then, it's going to be tough.
I hear a lot of what you're saying, and it's interesting, really, that I find it staggering the amount of people that people talk about undertones when people are talking about Pogba, and you can feel some of the racial undertones towards him. I felt the same, not the same undertones because it's different, but it's been the same feeling towards a lot of United players talking about Maguire's situation in Greece. And you read it through the tweet, you're reading it going, you want him to be guilty. You're angry that he's had the opportunity to defend himself. You're angry at the fact, I saw people, it was palpable that they were actually frustrated that his defense, that he was getting a defense. He's appealed the decision. It's not right that he gets to appeal the decision. There was this desperation for him to be guilty of it, which I found staggering that the people were like desperate for him to. Why would you want the captain of your club to be guilty of this? You would always want, even if there was video evidence of it all, you'd still be like, oh, I so wish he hadn't done it. There was almost a celebration amongst some that he did it. And the fact that, you know, someone said to me today, can't believe that he got an interview with the BBC. I'm like, well, why would he? This is different. This isn't someone who's been, this is like a serious accusation that could see him go to prison if found guilty. And he's claiming that it's a complete fortification by the police. Now, I truly believe if any Premier League football player, one of the major clubs especially, was facing this same scenario, they would have been offered interviews with everybody. I really think that would have happened as an example. However, I think Maguire doing that, this is about PR sometimes. They should have read the situation, Man United and his people. For whatever reason, I would say 70 to 30% wanted him to be found guilty. They don't believe his stories. For the first time in my life, I've seen masses of working class people completely trust and believe every single word that a police department and judiciary system have said. I never see that normally. Like, it's normally the reverse. You get what I mean? And I think I think everything they've done to Maguire since the summer has been terrible. They should have read the situation, that many people wanted him to be guilty, etc. Many people wanted him to be this. I mean, I saw people day after it was announced that he'd been arrested for it. Why are the papers not calling him a thug? We've got to call him a thug. We can't have a thug at the club. And I said, if he's guilty of these things, absolutely. But can we not just wait for the evidence to come out? And then the more and more evidence that came out, most people were sitting there going, yeah, this smells of the guys being set up here, but let's wait. Then when a court system doesn't even allow a defense and they find him guilty, I'm sitting there thinking, this is mad. I don't even know how this. And then you learn a bit more about their law system. That's a small level court, and everybody's pretty much found guilty at that level. And then you take it to the big court later and you become innocent again once you appeal it. It's a weird system, but it's how it works. I just find it staggering that so many people want him to be this bad guy. It's crazy for me. It's genuinely crazy that people are doing this. And you're right. I don't think he's weak. It's a terrible thing to be going through. It's damaged him mentally. Ollie and Southgate collectively have made bad decisions by keeping him in the limelight. And now it's affected his form, and it's amplifying the pressure. It's amplifying the pressure because you know this, mate. You've been around the block long enough. Every kick, every tackle, every run now is going to be overanalyzed to the nth degree and made to look a lot worse than it truly. Does that make sense? And even if he puts in a great performance, it'll be
and he's
average.
over trying as well.
Yeah.
He's trying too hard as well to like chase after it, which is something that never works.
No, it never does. It never works. It's never successful. It's a madness. And listen, I get a lot of people that feel like, I want to ask you this question actually. I see a lot of people angry that some media outlets or pundits on shows are defending Maguire, saying that we should give him time and space. And they're angry with Maguire because they don't feel that a player like Paul Pogba or Martial or Raheem Sterling gets given that same level of respect by media outlets. One, do you think that's a fair point, that they don't get the same level of respect that Maguire's getting? But do you think it's right to take it out on Maguire, or should it be the media outlets that they take their frustration out
on? If I think about it, I think maybe you could say that Maguire doesn't get the same level. I mean, you can't say that Maguire gets it as bad as Pogba would get it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that he's like, you know, he's a representation of English football, isn't he, Harry Maguire? So, well, I can't really use that as an excuse because look what they did to Rooney. I think lots of things come into play here. Like, if Wayne Rooney wasn't a Scouser playing for Manchester United, then the amount of abuse he got from England fans wouldn't have been as much.
Yeah.
So I think Harry Maguire's face just fits. You know, he's a big, dark, tall, like dark-haired English bloke from an inoffensive team like Leicester. He's come from the lower leagues. You know, he's been good. He was good in the last World Cup. You know, he's got everything going for him. You know, I don't want to bring like race and all that into it, but, you know, obviously a little bit of that's going to play a part as well. So, yeah, it's fair for people to say that he gets treated a little bit better than other players.
Yeah.
But absolutely, it has to be the media's fault. But after what I've just said, all these factors come into play on a subconscious level as well as a conscious level. So
no, mate, listen, every
it
day
is the media's fault, but
no, and I hear that, bro, and I do get that completely. Every day saying thank you very much for calling the show. Really do appreciate it. There's a comment here from Erkram CFC. He says, "Why can't you believe that he is lying? He was in a Greek court where the judge found him guilty. It's not difficult to understand that for F's sake." Well, this is the problem I have with the court system. And let me reiterate what I said earlier. Not everybody that goes to the low level of court in Greece is found guilty, as an example. But based on what I read, it's almost they rushed through that low level case. There was no cross-examination of any of the witnesses. There was no checking the credibility of any of the witnesses. Maguire wasn't even there himself to give his evidence. There wasn't enough time for any defense ever to build a defense. There was no time. It was done within days. That is generally the process you use at magistrate level in the UK to clear out a few drunks and just say, listen, you're pleading guilty, not guilty. Well, yeah, we saw you throw the bottle in the pub, bang, you found guilty for drunken affray, whatever it may be. But of course, Maguire was always going to appeal, so this thing was rushed through. Being found guilty at the level he was, according to his legal team, was very much expected with how that system was created. To say that because a court found him guilty at this stage is ridiculous when he's had no defense. His defense team haven't been able to scrutinize any of the evidence against him. That anywhere in the world is a terrible judiciary system. If you're just gonna take it at that point and stop it blank. Let's wait. And I've said all along, if he turns out to be guilty, then I'll absolutely rip him for it. There's no doubt about it. But for me, I treat people as I want to be treated. I don't care what team Maguire plays for. So the same thing about Callum Hudson-Odoi in the summer. People are innocent until proven guilty, and then they need a fair trial. They need a fair process, they need a fair trial, and it doesn't appear so far that's been done. How dare you not be able to cross-examine a witness? that's part and parcel of the judiciary system. So for me, I think it's a madness to not understand, accept this, or talk about it in that way. Skype lines are open if you want to call. Thank you very much to Kyle for becoming a first team member of the Football Terrace. It's amazing that you've signed up. Everyone, please smash that like button for us. Really, really important that you get that done right now. We had a super chat come through as well. That is from Jay Brew. Some people say players can't handle the pressure of playing for Man United, but I think it's actually the social media age that is destroying players' mentality. Listen, I think it plays a massive part. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And again, if I was advising Harry Maguire right now, if he was my client, if he was my player, I would be saying delete social media, get away from it, get out of the country if you can. I know it's hard now with everything going on around the world, but lock yourself away in the most secluded place, recharge your batteries, re-find yourself, and come back. And I would give that advice to any player that's going through a similar thing. Next up on the show, we have Kid City. Kid City, welcome back to the Football Terrace. What you saying, bro?
Well, personally, I don't really rate Maguire that highly, but I feel like he's getting too much criticism. He's going through a hard time. I feel like he should be backed by the United fans. I think there's more of a personal, like, I don't think his ability is what is causing him to play so out of form right now. I think it's a personal level, and I think really you should be backing him.
Yeah, listen, as I say, if he's found out there's backing him and with this court case thing, and I just want to see the evidence. And we haven't. This is the point I made about him being found guilty. When it was announced he was found guilty, I was like, oh, that's terrible. Now let me see and read the evidence, And I remember a very famous case, very serious matter in comparison to this with Oscar Pistorius. And I sat there every night and I listened to the news and I listened to what was being said. And we were very fortunate as a viewing world to be able to see live what was going on, listening to both sides of the story. It was actually an amazing process, although it was within a harrowing situation, to be able to listen to that. And it enabled you to judge things correctly. I said it all along, I want to see all the evidence they have against him, and I want to see what they find from a cross-examination point of view. I said it before, like, if it turns out this police department have got a reputation of falsely accusing wealthy holidaymakers of doing what Harry Maguire did, then it stands to reason that he may not be lying. If this is just out the blue, it's never been done before, the CCTV evidence, this is Maguire being a thug, this is Maguire being a reprobate, this is Maguire trying to bribe the police, then he deserves everything that's coming his way. I would even advocate stripping the captaincy, maybe even selling him, because I don't want a player at my club that behaves like that. But until that point, the level of ridicule that he's got is ridiculous. And then on top of that, the over-analyzing and the over-criticism of his defending has been absolutely spellbindingly bad. It's been terrible. It really is. Kid City, thank you for calling the show. Next up, we have Michael on the line. Michael, welcome to the Football Terrace. What's your view on the Maguire situation?
Oh, no. Seems to me he's got a lot of his mind at the moment. He hasn't been performing very well for club and country. I mean, I watched him yesterday at the Indian game. I mean, the 2 yellow cards. I mean, I thought the second one was a bit harsh because he did get the ball and then obviously the follow through and he got sent off. But I think personally for me, like obviously I think you guys play on the weekend. If I was Man United, I'd take him out. I wouldn't play him this weekend. I'd personally drop him because it seems to me that the issues that happened with him at Greece is still affecting him now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's all of it. I totally agree. There's a comment here from Franklin that says retrobate, Terry. That's not the right word. No, retrobate means scoundrel, rascal, villain. I don't know why you think it isn't the right word, but it is. Yeah, no, I agree. I think he needs to be taken out of the limelight. I think he needs to be given a break.
Yeah, I think he's played every single game for Manchester United. Like, it's fascinating. I've watched because I watch about a lot of Man United games as well. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't think there's been a game where he has not been played. I might be wrong, but I swear he's played every single game since he's been at the club.
Well, he's played
FA Cup, League Cup.
He's played pretty much every Man United game, and I read a stat today that he's played something like 67 of Man United and England's last 77 games. There's physical exhaustion, there's mental exhaustion. And then there's, as I say, there's the over-analyzing. We saw it last year when people were talking about how easy he is to dribble past, how often he loses out in defensive duels, and they made it sound like he was abnormally bad. And then you do the tactical analysis, the statistical analysis, and the eye test, and he wasn't being beat in defensive duels any more than any other defender at the elite level across Europe. In fact, statistically, he was better.
No,
he was better than
he's
most.
Not the quickest in that, but I mean, I do question his defense. His defense. I mean, you remember Per Mertesacker when he was at Arsenal, and everyone used to criticise him. But people don't realise he wasn't the quickest, but he was a very good defender. Like, he was able to read the game. He had Laurent Koscielny next to him. So what happens is if he had a player that was quicker than him, at least if Koscielny was there, you have a player to help him on the recovery. If a player defeating for pace, that's what it is. But I'll be on you that bit. It looks to me like he's fatigued and he needs a break from football and just get out of the, you know what I mean, just be taken out of the squad completely, have a break, let him recharge his batteries and then come back. And then, you never know. His performance might start picking up again.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. He needs that. He needs that rest and he needs to be kept away. Michael, appreciate you phoning the show as ever, mate. Thank you. Winnerpool here says, yes, I'm a hater. I hate when people lie just because he plays for their club. He made a mistake. Get over it. The point is, we don't know what happens. That's why we need to wait for the evidence to come out. However, we treat people as innocent until proven guilty, don't we? It's as simple and as straightforward as that. I'm not going to read that comment. Terry, you have a bad job watching every man's downfall to attack them. I'm not attacking Harry Maguire, so I have no idea what your comment is about there from Man United football. I mean, if that's what you've heard on this video, me attacking Harry Maguire, bro, you got to wash that earwax out, bro. That earwax is thick. I mean, your ears must be look like Watsits. They must be bright orange, brother. They must be. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Do me a favor, people. Nearly 1,500 people watching. Please all hit that like button. Please support the Football Terrace. It's really important to us that you do that and that you get that done. Smash that button right now. Let's do a few more. These live comments. If Skyplines are open and guilty, Lee here says, guilty or not, he's a trash defender. Well, we know that isn't true. Factually speaking, he's had a bad start to the season. But to say Maguire is a trash defender is hyperbolic, it's disingenuous, it's exaggerated, and it makes you look very, very foolish indeed. Winner Paul here says there is video evidence that Maguire is guilty, but it can't be published. Where have you read this video evidence? Please share the link, the article, and let us know. I'd love to know where you're making that up from. That is just Liverpool. That's a particular Liverpool fan being desperate for him to be guilty. It's actually crazy. It really, really is. Maria Williams here says, I don't live there, but I know for a fact that it's very difficult that they are very difficult very different with locals and tourists, especially in those very populated areas for tourists. Look, I've had problems abroad before. The same thing in certain parts of the world. Some places are great. Some you know, so you could be in the same country. Some towns are bad for it. Some other towns are amazing for it. It's probably the same in the UK. And holiday makers here have probably got stories about our police being very, very similar. And my view is this: I'm a working class person. I don't mean it disrespectfully towards police officers, but I want to see evidence before I believe anything a police officer tells me. Mac is now on the line with us. Mac, what's your thoughts on Maguire? Do you think he's being mistreated by Man United fans, or are they right to be turning their back on him?
Probably mistreated, man, because it's like I don't know. Like, you know what it is, Terry? Like, all of a sudden, we really care about footballers' personal lives. I couldn't give a shit. Do you know what I'm saying? I really couldn't. Like to me, it's like, unless this affects your performance on the pitch, which you could speculate it might well be. It looks like he's having a tough time. He probably does need a break. Ollie should have probably just kept him out of the firing line for a bit anyway. But apart from that, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what's going on in this person. I wasn't there. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's been so many things Manchester United players over the years, and you know, it's not really anything to do with us as fans.
You there, mate? Lost a bit of signal there with Mac. Are you back with us, mate? Sorry, you cut off.
Yeah, basically, yeah, I don't really care, man. You know,
Bro, I'm the same, you know. When it comes to like the personal things, if it was an accusation that Maguire has been sleeping with someone's wife or doing X, doing Y, doing Z, like legitimately, I wouldn't care about that. It's a little different because it's an area of criminality and that matters. But look, it's all going to come out in the woods. If he is found to be if Maguire is found to be innocent, there's going to be a lot of people with a hell of a lot of egg on their faces. But you know what will happen though, Mac? If he's found innocent or not guilty, whatever way round, people will just. It's like Rio Ferdinand. Some people still call Rio Ferdinand a drugs treat. Do you get what I mean? It's Liverpool fans know this. Some people still call Steven Gerrard a thug after he was cleared of the alleged assault in the party or in the club when he's reportedly hit a DJ. It's like, even if he's proven, this is the thing with Maguire now. This is why I think he's done personally. Even if he's found not guilty, it will still be used against him.
Yeah, because you know where it is? It's the.
Bro, your signal's really breaking up bad on us today, Mac. Try and sort that out for us and call us back, bro. Sorry about that, brother. Carl here of another super chat says, Terry, I think this is a political stunt from the Greece government and society. If he actually did it, where is the videos? We're in 2020, cameras everywhere. I hear you on that one. I do. I personally want to see some evidence that he's done this. I haven't seen any. Terry, it's a sad situation. This one thing, ripping into him for a bad game, guilty or not, we are fans. We should back him 100% in this stance. He is human. Oh, listen, football players for years now have had their humanity completely taken. We don't care about the humanity or the mental health or strength of any football player. My view is to defend them all as best I can when I can. You know, we've had it said before, most of the time I don't care about a player's mental health because they're rich, as if being rich doesn't stop you from feeling ill. It's an absolute madness how football players are treated by the general public. It truly, truly is. Jonathan Reed here, one of our members, said he's too slow for us. He's too slow for us. As United, we've always had a quick centre-back, but not now. He's not worth 25 million now. I think you'd be surprised how much money you'd get from Maguire. The irony is with Maguire, I can see him being sold, getting loved by a new fan base, performing well, and then the same Man United fans that are hating on him, kicking off and crying that we got rid of him. Next up on the show is Nelson. Nelson, what you saying, bro?
I just wanted to say that, like, it's time to back Harry Maguire and just, stand with him, because right now, like, football is played between the ears, you understand? It's played with the brain. If we don't support our players, how do we expect them to play well for us? So I don't understand anybody, like, cursing him right now should be ashamed of themselves, actually, right now. Maguire needs our help, and we should try to assist him.
Bro, I hear you on that. I respect what you're saying. I think you make a lot of sense. We're adding Z to this call as well now. Z, Maguire's in the firing line. He's getting ridiculous levels of ridicule, abuse, overanalyzing. Do you think it's fair how he's being treated by Manchester United fans and the mainstream media?
Mate, it's where it is, and this is ridiculous, mate. It's a human. It's a human being before anything. I like the point that you raised about wealth, him being rich. It don't mean nothing. He's still a human being at the end of the day. And I would like to think, I don't know if you caught Raphael's, was it Raphael that's made a quote saying how certain fans would feel about people like John O'Shea, Wes Brown and Fletcher these days. What kind of critics would they get these days if they were playing at this time and age?
Bro, Ryan Giggs in the early 2000s when he was going for a bad run of form, he would have been written out. Like, I think fans don't understand the power they have and the impact they have upon people's lives. And I think it's really, really big. I think it's massive. And whenever all the clubs that are doing well, there's a feel-good factor. There's no surprise that Arsenal Football Club on the field have improved when the level of toxicity amongst the fans has died down and the vast majority are backing what's going on. It's amazing. When things are looking really good, before and after the lockdown periods, everyone was playing pretty well. Generally speaking, there was a feel-good factor. There wasn't a lot of criticism. We get a few bad results and it's knives are out, and then suddenly the pressure's on top. As I've said, Dan James has had it. Pogba gets it. Pogba suddenly looks better when he's playing for France and does for Man United. One, yes, you can argue quality of player around him, manager. That's part of it. But it's because the French population and the French football fans love him. There's a big percentage of Man United football fans that hate. Like, the same reason that I think Maguire underperforms at the minute is why I think Paul Pogba underperforms. Paul Pogba's always over trying in a Man United kit. Why? Because he is, rightly or wrongly, he's trying to shut up the people that are always over analyzing and over criticizing him. And the irony in it is the people the vast majority, in my view, of Man United fans that are on Maguire's back are some of the biggest defenders of Paul Pogba. And it's like the way they treat Maguire is the exact way that they despise people treating Paul Pogba. It's lunacy, absolute lunacy from some people.
That's why I say we're no longer Man United, we're Man divided, because it's ridiculous. Like, I see people saying, I've seen it all over Twitter, people saying, what about Lingard? What about Sterling? What about Pogba? But it's not the point. He's a Man United player. And it could be down to the ball boy, the dinner lady. We have to back our team. We have to back our players. It don't matter how dreadful the player is. People act like Maguire got here by just being a nobody. He actually earned his right to be a United player. And people were really behind him. I remember the debate. Everyone was saying when a lot of people were in favour for Maguire to come over Koulibaly because the simple fact that Maguire had Premier League experience and as well as his age. It took Bilic a while to settle into the United team. It took Evra a while to settle into the United team. Why are we not giving Maguire the same patience? And Van Dijk has made more mistakes, and he arguably 3, 4, 5 times the defender that Maguire is. But you don't see Liverpool fans saying, you know what, Van Dijk, let's attack him. They don't. Even when Liverpool lost 7-2, their fans still backed them. Their fans still backed them and said, you know what, we're still taking headlines away from United.
And do you know what? Exactly. And do you know what I think is interesting about it? It's the mindset of trying to change things. I concur that how the Raheem Sterlings, the Paul Pogbas, the Anthony Martials, the Jadon Sancho's getting it now, even Greenwood in recent weeks, how they are treated by tabloid press especially and by broadcasters is unfair. It's imbalanced. There are certainly racial undertones to a lot of what goes on, and I'm not denying that. But the way I see people attack Maguire for, in their eyes, not being treated that way, and I agree for not being treated that way. Forget their eyes. I see the same thing. He isn't treated the same way. For me, they punch and or pull in the wrong direction. And let me give you an example of what I mean. There are many, many people in the world that believe women are underpaid in comparison to their male counterparts. I don't think you solve that problem in a positive way by making it equal by lowering the pay of all the men. Because that's how I feel people are aiming with this. They're going, okay, Sterling's treated badly. Maguire's treated brilliantly. What I want is Maguire to also be treated badly. I'm like, nah, bro, you're attacking the wrong. You're trying to get Maguire to be treated like. You should be focusing on the media to make them up their standards and treat everybody with the same level of dignity and respect. That should be how we're aiming here. Maguire, in my opinion, shouldn't receive abuse because of how the Sun newspaper treats Raheem Sterling. That will never fix anything. That means essentially, you said like man divided is what Man United like. That's what society's like. We end up fighting ourselves over things that it's the media a lot of the time that are creating these divides and these problems, and then we're sitting around arguing over it. Hang on, let's unify, let's come together, and let's stop the way Raheem Sterling, Paul Pogba, etc. being treated. And how do we do that? We don't buy the newspapers. We don't talk about them. We make them go out of business. We ban them. We do whatever it is we need to do. But the irony in that is that you then start getting into this realm of, but Sky Sports do it, and I've got a contract to do work with them. Or if you're a YouTuber, there's some out there that I see moaning about the Murdoch empire. Yet they have contracts and work for Talk Sport. How does that make sense? Owned by the same News Corp. It's like people don't actually want to attack the real problem. They want to kind of fight a symptom of the problem, so they look like they're virtuous and they're doing a great job. Nobody ever attacks the true root causes of any of these problems, and you see it in the Man United fan base. We all know the root cause problem at Man United is the Glazers, the board, Woodward. But yet the target is always it's always a Harry Maguire, it's always a Fellaini, it's always a Wayne Rooney, it's always a Jose, it's always an LVG, it's always an Ollie, it's always a Pogba, it's always an individual who's a symptom, but is nowhere near the main cause of the problem, because it makes people look like they're virtuous, and that's what it ends up being. And that's where I get really frustrated, upset, and angry in this situation. Is I get you don't have to rate Maguire, you don't have to, you could even want him to be guilty of this. But you asking the papers to lower their standards on Maguire to match up with how you think Raheem Sterling is treated, it's the wrong way round. It just doesn't make sense to me.
The thing is, I would like is the players to put their arm around him and say, you know what, use it. If I could give Harry Maguire a piece of advice, I'd personally go to him and say, use this as energy to do better. Use this as your fire, mate. Just go out there and use it as your file. Because if he gets picked on Saturday, which I personally think he will, he just has to go in there and say, take some time, when he comes back when he's going home, chill with the family, clear your head, play with the little one, do whatever you're doing, and then just go into training. Everyone gather up, everyone hurdle and say, look, the last result weren't great. Us as individuals weren't great, but let's use everything. Let's use all this negativity and turn it into something positive.
No, I agree, bro. There's a comment here from Toffee20. Okay, I'm going to respond to it. He says, your thumbnail says Maguire is done. Hypocrite. No, that's my opinion. My opinion is Maguire is done. My opinion is that his Man United career at the very least is over. Why? Because I don't think the mob are going to ever allow him off the hook. If he farts on the field of play, he's going to be ridiculed. Every minute mistake, which every single player at every single level makes per game on a prorated basis, it's going to be over scrutinized. The pressure is going to intensify. The no-look defending, the mark on his own defender. I've seen Maguire get blamed for mistakes that Lindelof makes. Like Maguire should be in 3 places at the same time. It's unprecedented, the level of scrutiny that I've seen him get, the centre-back wise. I've seen midfielders get it and strikers get it before, but the criticism he gets is crazy. I don't think that's going to die down for 1 single second, regardless of what happens. And if he is found guilty in court, it's going to intensify further. For that reason, I think he's done as a Man United player. It's not because I want him to be. It's not because I'm going to abuse him. I'm going to treat him with the same dignity that I treat Paul Pogba and Martial with. I'll rip into him when he makes a mistake on the field of play, but I will defend him as a human being because I do that because I believe in true equality. I believe in treating people as I wish to be treated.
That's what people need to understand. And the thing is as well, the thing is as well, which I would definitely say is, I'll give a people prime example. When Jones came into the squad, right? When Jones first came into the squad, Jones and Smalling, would people say they were bad defenders? Would people actually say they were bad defenders?
No, they were brilliant prospects.
Yeah, and the reason with that was because they were playing and training alongside some quality defenders. They had the greatest teachers around them. They had Rio and Vidic. And after you saw, as soon as them two, you know, their careers started going down after they departed, you saw the change. You saw the dip in their form. And that's the thing. You need someone to rub off on. Like, for example, Varane, right? Quality defender, right? But Varane, when he's not alongside a great defender, is bang average. And I don't know if anyone actually analyzes it, but when he's not alongside a great defender, he's bang average. And he's got one of the greatest teachers in Ramos. So why have United not given, you know, Maguire a partner?
Mate,
that,
listen,
you know,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and what you're saying is so obvious in the sense of, and everyone who's played football knows this, and this is why some of the people that I see on social media there's nothing wrong with criticizing him, but the over-criticalness, the nature of what they do is mind-boggling. Especially when I see people that have played football to a decent level say it, when they all know that this is a team sport, and you can be a top player, but if people around you are not so great, like would Liverpool, would Maguire have been as good, and would their defense have been as solid as it has up until the beginning of this season? Would it have been as good over the last 2 years if Klein would have stayed in at right back, and if Moreno would have stayed at left back, and they wouldn't have bought Firmino to anchor that midfield? If those three players were not there, or sorry, the two fullbacks were back, and you take out Fabinho and you put, you know what, we'll bring Jay Spearing back. Would Liverpool's defense has been as solid, as airtight, and as comfortable, generally speaking, as it has been for the last 2.5 years, even with Van Dijk and Alisson? For me, the answer is no, because the team unit wouldn't have been as strong. There wouldn't have been as much unity, togetherness, and overall quality to make Jurgen Klopp's system work to that same degree. You equally wouldn't have had as much creativity from those players either, so they may not even have scored as many goals. And that's the point I make to people all the time, that you're looking at this as a team sport. You know, Maguire's had a poor start to the season, but I haven't seen a defender put in as bad a performance as a centre-back as Eric Bailly in the last game. Now, I'm not going to give Eric Bailly more criticism than he deserves, but I even saw people blaming Maguire for how bad Eric Bailly was. Because of Maguire did this, Maguire did that, he made Bailly play badly. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, yeah, that's the over scrutiny and the over sort of ridiculing that I'm seeing here, where, okay, so Maguire gave the foul away against Harry Kane, but that gives Eric Bailly the license to switch off? No, criticize them both equally. And then I'll believe that you're a Man United fan and you're subjective and you're looking for the betterment of the club and not just looking to push agendas on social media because you get attention. But boys, I appreciate you all coming on. Everyone who's tuned in, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. You're all entitled to your opinions, whether you agree with me or not. That's the whole point of this. If you take it personally and you want to start throwing your toys out your pram, that's on you. But listen, until next time, take care of yourselves. Have great afternoons, good evenings. 7:30, that Liverpool show is going to be back live on the Football Terrace, and make sure you're tuning in. Until then, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all soon.